Hello and welcome back to another Talking Freight, brought to you by Cerasis, the transportation management company. Last week, we went over the role of white glove service in the final mile, and today we're going to take the idea of white glove services into a bit of the future by talking about robots in the final mile. Imagine this scenario. A consumer orders something online. Rather than just pick up the product at the nearest store or waiting for drones to drop off the package on the doorstep, an autonomous wagon, looking like a refrigerator on wheels, shows up and interacts with the customer via smartphone. This leaves an impression on the customer, who shares his experience on social media, and the company has an uptick in profits. Now, this example may seem far-fetched, but it is a reality that is just around the corner. Robots are showing up in final mile delivery. Now, this includes the aforementioned drones, but soon you'll start seeing unmanned ground vehicles, called UGV, the so-called office refrigerator on wheels. As a result, shippers need to know a few things about final mile automation and the role of robotics. So let's talk final mile and robots. First, startups are already looking to use robots in final mile automation. Recently, startups such as Marvel and Dispatch have commenced exploring the possibility of using Android-like robots as delivery professionals in final mile logistics. Furthermore, these startups have already raised significant funds, $47 million plus, via crowdsourcing. While this may seem out of place in final mile logistics, it shows the demand and proof of concept for robots in the final mile and the subsequent automation they may bring. Meanwhile, autonomous trucks or driverless trucks are already a major player, with some companies valued at nearly $1 billion. Moreover, in many ways, autonomous technology is already inherent in most modern vehicles. But why? Mostly, final mile automation is the natural progression of the internet, electrification, sensing, and actuation technology in mobile apps. So let's expand on that idea that autonomous technology is already inherent in most modern vehicles. Consumers want safety, they want security, they want assurance before, during, and after the sale of any product. While driverless cars and trucks and drones may seem like a technology that is not yet ready for wide-scale deployment, autonomous technology is already inherent and required in most modern vehicles. Active lane assist, traction control, and automated braking are standard features consumers expect when looking at a new car. These same features are the cornerstone to leveraging robotics in final mile automation. It is therefore not a stretch of the imagination to see how the market could explode in the next few years. Further, the market is poised for growth. The use of UGVs and drones is expected to grow by more than 20 million devices by just next year in 2020. This reflects a compound annual growth rate of more than 32%. Now, think back to our discussion earlier that we've had on 3D printing in previous Talking Freight episodes and on our blog at cerasis.com. If a 3D printer can fit in a small space, especially for customized small products, who is to say that a 3D printer could not be included on a UGV that departs a facility at the time of ordering? It would print the product while on the road. Pretty freaky, right? But it makes you think. Why did FedEx buy a printing company in Kinko's? Not too far off. The market is expanding, and shippers can leverage this knowledge to drive robotics and final mile automation. This allows supply chain executives to take steps to ensure their organizations have the right technology and resources ready to stay competitive, including internet-enabled devices and the use of a TMS that can in the future integrate to all of these future capabilities, much like we are doing with our final mile features that we've recently released in the Cerasis Raider. Now, just because you can automate it, it doesn't mean that every part of final mile logistics must be autonomous. There's another aspect to the use of robotics in final mile and automation. Just because drone or UGVs make the final step of the journey does not mean the entire final mile delivery process is automated. A driver could still be circling the neighborhoods in the traditional delivery van, but drones and UGVs could be actively delivering packages from a delivery van as a landing and departing spot. This means fewer stop points, which reduces fuel costs and increases route efficiency. In conclusion, robotics and final mile automation will open possibilities in final mile delivery, especially with perishable items. Robotics and final mile automation have the potential to revolutionize how shippers handle final mile logistics processes. Shippers will be able to do more with less, understand their customers better, and deliver on promises that are difficult to keep for companies that do not have the experience and wherewithal of e-commerce giants like Amazon. In other words, final mile automation and robotics can level the playing field between companies that build dedicated logistics networks with final mile delivery in mind and those new to the game that are just beginning to embrace this technological revolution. Ultimately, the use of robotics and final mile is key to successfully navigating a growing e-commerce landscape. That's it for this week's Talking Freight. Thanks for joining us for another episode. Hold up, before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button and subscribe to Ceresys' YouTube channel. You'll get up-to-the-minute info from Fast Freight 5, educational material on Talking Freight, and the best voices in the freight industry from the Freight Project podcast and As We Hit events across the country.